All right, so today we're going to look at object-oriented program. Object-oriented program is a different way of designing your code than the method we've been using, which is called procedural. In the procedural format, you start at the beginning, you write your code, you call functions, you call subroutines. Well, you don't have subroutines anymore, you call functions. And the code is not organized around any individual objects, which is what object-oriented programming is about. The idea in objects is, if you remember from our first week of class, I talked about getting up, finding the keys, and leaving the house. Think about the door. If you had to write the code for the door, you'd say, okay, I'm going to write all the code for the door, what size it is, what color it is, how many hinges it has. And you have all this huge code that you write. You keep adding pieces and adding pieces. And then you say, okay, now I need a door for the car. And you have to write all the code over again to do the door for the car. So in object-oriented code programming style, what you do is you create an object, and it will be a door, and it has all the same properties, and it can be open or closed. And you can open a door, you can lock a door. Those are like the methods, which you say it's something you do to the object. So a property is something about the object, and a method is something the object can do. You can still write functions that work similar to objects, so the savings is not as exciting as some people make it out to be. Why would we do object-oriented program? The goal of object-oriented programming is twofold. One is to make the code easier to read and easier to fix or edit later, supposedly. The other way is that it makes the code easier to reuse rather than reusing a function, again, supposedly. So if you have a door, you can have an inside door, an external door, a car door, a safe door. You can have anything that's a door, and it has the basic functions. And then you make different devices or pieces of the door depending on how you're going to need it. The terminology in object-oriented program is the basic design is called a class. You can have superclasses and subclasses, but the class. And it's like a blueprint for your door. A door has hinges, a door has size, color, where the knob is on the right or left. So there are commonalities that are for all doors. When you make an instance of a door, that is, you take an object, that is, you take that class, and then you say, oh no, this is a door that doesn't have it has 3 hinges, not 2 hinges, or it's a door to a hangar on an aircraft carrier, some special type of door. So those are the objects you make. When you use that object in your programming code, now it's because you say you've made an instance of that object. And of course, then you have properties and methods of that instance. So you create an instance of an object, and then if you have some value that's connected with that object, that would be a property. And if those change those values, or it returns some of those values to you, that would be a method. You've been using object-oriented programming all along. If you say that you have something and then a period and then some other command and then the 2 parentheses. So upper, lower, title, and the print. The print is an object, and the method is upper and lower and title. And of course, just like a function, those parentheses are there because you might want to pass an argument to the method. Some languages are all procedural, some languages are all object-oriented. Python, you can do whatever. You can make them procedural, you can make them object. We're going to learn how to make objects in Python today. Some people swear that object-oriented is the only way to go. If you don't write in objects, you're writing poor code. That is not the case. And in fact, there's in the past 5 or 6 years, there's been a big pushback against object-oriented programming because it's just sort of like a bureaucracy. You have to define all your classes. You have to make everything into objects. And sometimes you could write 10 lines of code instead of writing 1,000 lines to create objects. And it's a whole lot easier to understand the 10 lines of code than all the lines of codes in the objects. and quicker. So there's nothing wrong with objects. There's nothing wrong with procedural. They're just two different ways of writing code. The cool thing about Python is you can use objects where objects make the most sense, and you can write procedural when procedural make the most sense. So we're going to learn about objects this week, and I'll put a couple links to some more information about objects in the website as well.